right. So somebody already mentioned it. Let's see who was
What they mention? It.
Mary. Yes, she says, I don't see how you could pick a winner. All those tops are wonderful. They are all winners to me.
Oh, Mary, that's our sentiment exactly.
Yes.
You know what my favorite thing about it is that several people mentioned how glad they were we had the challenge because they did things they never would have tried before. And that is exciting because once you do it, and you can see when you go look at them, the people that said that, how successful they were.
Mm-hmm.
They just said they took their time, they went very carefully, and they were able to make a lot of changes. Yeah. Several people made quite a few, just surprising.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's the Baja Challenge. You can go back in our videos for the last few weeks. Janet challenged us here in the office with a particular fabric to make changes to our Baja pattern. And then we extended that challenge to you, our viewers and customers. And today is the last day to get your entries in. So you still have time. You have till midnight Eastern or Central Time.
Or Pacific. We don't care because we're not going to get here.
I will be sleeping. But that's the deadline. Midnight. Somewhere in the United States, midnight time. Let's say that.
I just flashed on Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And I think that was in Louisiana. Took place in Louisiana.
Very hot there.
Any midnight you can come up with, as long as it's before we get to work tomorrow.
Yes. So we talked last week and the week before how we were starting to get our entries in, and we got even more.
Yeah.
They're all great. We got Nancy Hurt, and hers has a fun pop of color.
Yes.
Karen Goal, Marcy, Jillian, Margaret. I think that gets us.
Sherry Gregory.
We already talked about those. I'm saying the ones that
the newest ones. Yes.
The newest ones.
Okay.
But all of them, all the entries you can find right on our Facebook page. I think the easiest way is to go to community, and then all the posts from our viewers are there, and you could see everybody's work and what they did, and everybody has said, what they did to change it. Some people said what they would do differently next time, and I think it's so very helpful, so you might be inspired by those. Even if you're not participating in the challenge, you may be inspired by the changes that other people made, because I know that I am. Just some really great stuff in there. Sorry, catching up on the comments here.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. So yeah, we have quite a few entries, so you have till midnight, and then we will announce the winners next Tuesday here on Tuesdays at 2.
Yes, that's going to be fun too. It's going to be excruciating picking the
I
winners.
know.
There are some really innovative ideas in there, and I can't wait to see what else comes in, because I know there's several of you out there that either intended to enter or are still working to enter. So we can't wait to open it up tomorrow morning and see what else there might be. But great stuff so far, all of it.
Yes, great job to everybody out there. So if you saw our latest newsletter, we have a great new product for you. Janet is going to talk today about fitting. That is still one of our most asked about topics. Obviously it's a very broad topic, but fitting is the questions that we probably get the most about. And this new product we're really excited about will help you with it.
Absolutely. And Jessica's going to give you a quick demo on it. But this is a product made in Europe, and it hasn't been available in the U.S. for quite some time. So we did some.
Give Janet a computer and a credit card, and she'll find it for you guys.
I can buy it? Okay.
She'll find it.
Here's my card.
She will find it.
But I just felt like so many people from all the fitting series we started last spring with doing a bunch of different fitting series. We did the knit and then we did the woven, and those are archived here as well as on YouTube. But we kept getting the comment, I don't have someone to measure me. I don't have someone to help me measure me. And what can I do? And until we could find, and I went looking for this product, and it took me quite a while to unearth it and then to get it imported in. So we bought a lot, and it is called the Easy Check measuring tape that allows you to measure yourself without the aid of another person and still get accurate measurements.
Yes. So we're very sorry. It is very exciting. It's called, did you already say what it was called?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Easy Check measuring tape. You'll find it on our website under Notions and then under the category
You know what,
measuring.
before I get talking about it, I have the link right here, so I'm going to put it in.
We just announced it in the newsletter a couple hours ago, and we already have sold dozens. So I think our instincts were right, or at least our information was right when so many people were looking for a solution to be able to measure yourself. And we're just excited that we found it and we were able to get it here.
Oh my gosh. Real quick, back to the Baja. Karen has a funny comment. My husband said, why is the Baja taking so many days to complete? And I had to explain the stripes and say, sewing is not a race. I'm sure he's very impressed.
Well, she was trying new things too,
Yes.
and anytime you try new things, you've got to go a little more slower pace and maybe test or baste first to make sure that it's working the way you thought it would.
Yes. And I'm sure he was very impressed by the finished product, right?
Yeah, I bet he was.
Okay. So anyway, back to the tape measure. So you'll get your tape measure in the package. It does have, you know, the written directions in there for you. But we'll show you here live a little bit.
We also in the process of uploading a video that Jessica did this morning on how to use it. So right now she's going to do a quick demo, but for a little more a refresher or more information, take a look at that video.
Is that newsletter going to get archived on the...
It already is.
Okay, so Mary, you know what? I didn't get it either. But clearly a lot of people got it because the orders are coming in. But if you go onto our website under newsletters, they get archived there, and you can click on it and read it.
And I'm sorry you're not getting it. We're going to need to, in the next few weeks, figure out how to get to the bottom of that, because you're like, Jessica's on the list and she only gets it periodically.
I usually get it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. We're going to have to contact the software, online software company that we work through called Constant Contact and find out if there's something we need to change.
Marlene is very, very excited because she said she used to have one of these and the plastic piece broke. But she still couldn't bear to throw it away.
Oh,
She
well,
says
we got
everybody
you
needs
covered
one.
now.
Okay, so you have your tape measure. It's a, you know, your standard tape measure. But what you have on it is this slide. Let me make sure. Yep. So this slides back and forth. Obviously, your red line is where your measurement is, and you'll see that when we do an example. On the back, right here, in between the red arrows, is a little hole, which corresponds with a snap on the other end of the tape measure, at the end of the tape measure. So what you want to do is get a general idea. I mean, I think we all have a kind of idea of where we might be, depending on what body part you're measuring, and get it fairly close. It'll just make it easier for you. So say, should I stand up?
Yeah, move your chair out of the way so you can.
Well, I was gonna go right. If I'm just doing my bust, then you move my chair right
Okay.
to where I was gonna go. Okay, so if you're gonna say do your bust, I have a general idea of where that might be.
47. Probably not.
And of course, I say this in the video, you're not going to have a shirt on, but in order to keep our video on Facebook, I'm going to keep my shirt on, and for everybody's sake, including my own. So look, I was pretty close here. So you want it snug, no matter where you're measuring, but not tight. You don't want it pulling so you get bulges, you know, but you want it nice and snug so you're getting an accurate measurement. I'm pretty close to being snug, so I want to
Level all the way around.
level all the way around, yep. But here you can see I still have a little bit of a gap, but that's great. You want to get it snapped when you still have a little leeway, so then you can just give yourself a little tug here. I got a little tight, so move it back. Oopsies. Sorry, guys. The video's better. And
this is a video.
so now I can't, this is live.
Oh.
Now I can't see the number here, but all I have to do is unsnap it. And then right there, let's get it in focus so you can. But, I mean, you could carry, it's not going to slide. I can carry this over to my cutting table. And there it is, still on the same number. And this is a great tool, obviously, for all your measurements. But
It even works on your upper arm.
Your
You can do
upper
it all
arm.
by yourself. Jessica does that in the demo video on
Yep.
the website. But you can do your hips, your waist, your bust, any place you need, your thighs, whatever you need to measure.
now you don't have to have it unsnapped. You can have it snapped. It depends on just your comfort level and, you know, your mobility. With your arm, I definitely would recommend having it snapped first so that in fairly close to your measurement so that you can just slip it on and pull. So when you get it close enough, you can do it. I'm just pushing it with one hand to where I want it to be. And then one hand snaps it off and there's your measurement.
I love it. I just went nuts the first time I saw this. I was like, are you kidding me? That red line is the indicator, and it's spot on by, I think, is it eighths? It's probably at least eighths of an inch, which is the smallest you need to go by anyway for a bust measurement or a waist measurement. But you have all the measurements you would have on a regular tape, and I think it's inches as well as centimeters. So if you're a centimeter person, not to worry, we got you covered. One side is top a centimeter, the next is
there we go.
yeah, inches. So it's got both. Obviously, it would have centimeters, right? Because it's made in Europe. But there we are, and
Focusing.
yeah,
There we go. But anyway, that's your slider. There's your little snap on the back. Super easy. I love that you can do it with one hand, because lots of times they're like, oh, you could do this by yourself, and that this doesn't move. Even if when I unsnap it with one hand, when I just push it, you know, you think, oh my gosh, it's going to slide. But it's just tight enough in there that it's easy to slide, but won't slide
unless you want it to.
unless you want it to.
And it's a really nice vinyl tape. You know, so many times they're cloth or they're paper cloth-ish and or really cheap. This is a nice vinyl that's going to last a long time. And who was it that said she couldn't throw hers away even though she lost
Marlene.
Marlene, it's probably a similar, same quality. It's a nice quality tape. Of course, the measurements are only on one side because of it wouldn't help you to be on the other side.
But it would actually probably hurt you on the other side because they
Confuse
usually
you.
are going the other. But Marlene has a very good point on this too. As much as I hate to admit it, she says it because I would do this probably. It also helps to keep your measurements honest. because you can't see it. You can't see when this is around my bust or around my waist or around my arm. You can't see the number until you take it off, and then there's no sucking in. There's no like, oh no, no, no.
And it's so funny to me that people do that, but yet it is human nature.
I think it's a subconscious.
It is. It is. And when we do pant drafting classes, the people that make mistakes in the measurements are always grossly disappointed because their draft just doesn't fit, even though they maybe were trying a little vanity there. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work in sewing. It doesn't work in pattern making and drafting. You've got to be accurate. The thing is pick the silhouette and the fabric that's going to look the best on your body, but get your measurements correct so that it will. I
think it's very easy for us all to tell ourselves it's just a number.
Right.
Numbers don't matter. But like I said, then it's subconscious. You see the number and you're like,
yeah,
maybe a little bit smaller.
Or the ones where I'll say, well, that's not your measurement. They say, yeah, but I'm planning on losing weight. Or if they go the other way and go too big, they say, well, nothing ever fits me right, so I'm going to add a little just to be sure because the last pattern I made didn't fit me. Okay, numbers are a constant. So if you have a 37-inch bust, it isn't going to change between the time it takes you to sew up the muslin. You have a 37-inch bust. You need fabric that's going to more than come around 37 inches. You've got to have that ease. And patterns build ease in, and they tell you if you've got a 37-inch bust, this is the pattern the size that'll fit you. And we've all had to just forget about those numbers and those sizes. So many patterns and so many ready-to-wear, you could wear anywhere from a 4 to a 10, depending on who made it and the design and the style. So, we do have to let numbers go, and we do have to be accurate with the numbers when we're measuring ourselves or anybody else. Otherwise, you're just putting a lot of effort into something that's not going to come out quite right.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Arlene, because I think that's a really...
Yeah, I do too.
Really good point.
We have to support each other, and...
It's just a number.
It's just a number.
Well, because you're always going to look better in clothes that fit.
Exactly. And you're going to have a smile on your face instead of throwing it away because you couldn't get it on or it was so sloppy that it looked silly on you. And you just want to give up. Well, it's like everything else. Your foundation is the most important aspect when you begin with the right measurements and right shape.
So I put the link for the tape measure in the comments. It's under the notions section on our website, islandersewing.com. It is only $7.99. Like, awesome. But don't click in your cart just yet because we have some other stuff coming up. And wait till the end here. And Janet's going to talk a little bit more about fitting, and specifically if you have a fitting, where should you start?
Okay, so we did that, like I said, we did that fitting series last spring. We did it in knit and we did it in woven, and you always start in the same place. And even though I must not have been as adamant as I should have about where to start, because I keep getting emails from people who either want to know where to start, or they've taken the bodice, the sloper pattern, and sewn the whole thing together. Shoulder, side seams, sleeve, everything. Then they put it on and send me a picture. What do I do? Well, you take it all apart because you can't fix it once it's all sewn together. I mean, they even put the band on. And I don't understand, because what we want to do is get a good fit. And usually what we're making is a muslin, whether it's a knit muslin or a woven muslin. We're making something that we aren't necessarily planning on wearing. We're planning on getting a good fit so that we can take the nicer fabrics and sew them up with great ease. So I'm just going to go through the first step of fitting a bodice, and then we'll talk some more. So what I've got is what you see on the dress form here is a muslin for a new pattern that I'm working on. We'll talk about that another day. But I've taken just part of the front and part of the back so I can show you how to fit this. So I'm going to take this muslin off, and I have created a rounded back with this little piece of foam. Am I in a good position, Jess?
Oh, I think that's a little bit better.
Okay. So I've made this because a lot of us, as we age, get rounder. It might be up higher, it might be down lower, but you might have a rounded spot, and that's what causes some issues with fitting. So you need your front and your back to start with, and that's all you need. So in this back, you can see I've added some fabric, the blue fabric. Now, if you have Connie's video or you purchase Connie's video on fitting, she takes like masking tape and tapes the fabric in there as she goes. She's far more skilled than I am, and I love just stitching it down. Then I have just one piece to work with and I have to worry about the tape coming undone. So anyway, this is my back, and if it fit the way that the pattern was supposed to fit, then I would have 5/8 inch seam allowance on the back right at the shoulder seam. Okay, so if you're putting it on a human being, you've got to identify where the center of the shoulder is. If you're putting it on a dress form, you're going to have a seam. Does this one come down? Okay, so then you're going to have this seam. But you can see by the actual pattern piece was where the muslin is. To get it to go over that hump or that rounded part, it's not even going to make that shoulder seam, let alone have 5/8. So that's why I've added fabric. So I'm going to take my person that I'm fitting here, and you see how low that neckline is because of the rounded back. And now you may recognize when you put a shirt on or when you see somebody else, especially this summer, you're going to see that the neckline comes way down back here. Why does it do that? Is that the style? No. It's because the person's shoulders or back are taking up the fabric and it can't get all the way up. So what we want to do is get it up there. And we want 5/8 inch seam allowance here. So we've got to get this up here till we have that 5/8, and we've got to get that neckline up there where it belongs.
All right, real quick, Janet. Pamela says that the video ended, but I show that we're still live. Do you guys see us?
I hope so. I'm going to pretend like they can. So you see I've cut some slits in here so this will lay flat around the neckline. And that's what you have to do. And now I can see that I'm going to need to add some of the fabric. What'd you learn?
Connie says she could see us.
Okay, so then when the front comes in, the front is often where it belongs unless you have forward rolling shoulders. So that would be a different adjustment. Right now today, I just want to talk about this rounded back and to give you an understanding of where to start. So we're always going to start with the shoulder seams. So what we want to do, and the best thing to do would be to mark your 5/8 on here so you can see if it's going to sit in the right place. And then you're going to pin your seam allowance with the extra fabric in there until it sits really nice on the body. Now I just have a portion of the front. Okay. So then when I identify that this is fitting properly and that it's coming up on the neck where it belongs, now I've got a pinned seam allowance. And let me straighten it out for you because I didn't put the pins in very straight. But it doesn't matter what the original pattern looked like because that's somebody else's body. So when you see that this looks a lot different, than what the pattern looked like when you started, it's okay. Because that pattern wasn't going to fit you anyway. Because when you get done, this is who you are. So you just come in with a marker and identify where that seam allowance is going to be. So we know on the front it looks pretty close to the 5/8. But when we come around to the back, now we can see why we need more fabric. So what I know is when I unpin this and I take it back to the table, I will measure from that red line up 5/8, because that's what I want, is in this particular case a 5/8 inch shoulder seam. Then I will go to the pattern and add the extra fabric so the pattern ends up looking exactly like the muslin I just, the fitting sloper or fitting muslin that we're doing here. So that's what we do first. Get those shoulder seams straight on the body or straight on the dress form. Make sure everything's coming forward and you have enough fabric to do the shoulder seams without exposing half of your back. Then you go on to putting the side seams in, confirming that they're hanging straight, confirming that they fit. You may have to do the same thing with the side seams. Add some fabric. Maybe you need more fabric in the front than the back. And the back remains the same, but you add a little to the front, or vice versa. But you won't know that until you go to pin the side seams in. Once you have the side seams hanging straight and fitting your body front and back, then and only then do you put the sleeves in. And you walk the sleeve. Remember, we walk the sleeve on the pattern. How do we do that? Check the woven bodice series here or on YouTube, and you'll find the demonstration on how to walk the sleeve and find out if it's going to fit. Oftentimes, if you're using our sloper patterns, you can just move up a size if the sleeve seems like it's going to be too small. If you had a really large area to cover in the back, you know you're going to make your arm side bigger. So you know you need a little more room, and sometimes it's just enough that the next size sleeve will fit. And how do you know for sure? You walk it. Walk it on the pattern. And again, I'm not going to demo that today, but it is demoed there in that woven bodice fitting series. All right, we have any questions about that?
I don't have a question yet about what you demoed, but feel free, people.
I know we've demoed it before, but I know I lost some people, or some people came in later and didn't, and I didn't feel like maybe I was adamant enough about the fact that you don't just sew a sloper together, or a muslin. You've got to get, if you're working on fitting, you need to take it one step at a time, starting with the shoulder seams.
All right, and Sean wants to know, will the new measuring tape help with the center front and back on pants in getting the right length?
Well, Sean, sure, because you can measure it for yourself, but I don't know if you were having trouble with that, or if you're trying to measure yourself, then yes, it'll help. It's not a better measure unless you're alone. That's what makes it special, is that you can do it by yourself. There's no way you can measure your inseam or your outseam by yourself. It's difficult to measure your upper arm by yourself. Most of us can get the basic circumference of the body, but this makes it extremely accurate, because you're, like Jessica said, you're not trying to look down to see or hold it with your finger and hope you're right. This is so accurate.
You're like, oh, I think I slipped.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. I think I did.
Let me do it again. Yeah.
Sally, I think there's more to your question, Sally, so I'm waiting for that to come through. Yes, Phyllis says I always do a muslin and fit and styling for fit and styling. Yep, absolutely. Um, Sean asks, when sewing a sloper, do you use large stitches like basting?
Absolutely, Sean. I always use a 4 or a 5 when I'm putting a muslin together because, first of all, it doesn't have to stay together. If it comes out a perfect muslin and I don't need to do anything to it, I don't care. But if I have to rip it out, I can rip it out real fast and readjust. So absolutely use basting stitches when you're putting your muslin together.
And I know that we've talked about this so much, but you don't always have to put the full muslin together.
Exactly, yes.
You know, so it doesn't have to be that daunting if you don't want it to be or you don't need it to be. If there's simple corrections that you can make without putting the whole thing together, you don't have to put the whole thing together. Now, of course, we've talked about making your muslin out of a like fabric that you would wear. Maybe you would just wear it around the house. It's nice if you're making one of the tees. You know, you can still wear it around your house, but you want to make the corrections on the one that you wear outside of the house.
Exactly. So the muslin I had up there only has one sleeve in it, but I know if one sleeve fits, the other one's going to fit. I put a collar on that is going to, in the end, be a French seam in the center back of the collar, but I didn't need to do a French seam. I just did a 5/8 inch seam, which is the same amount. You know, no hem, no pockets, just one sleeve. Make sure it fits. Make sure that it hangs well. And the key is that side seam. You want the side seam to hang perfectly straight from underneath the arm, right under the armpit, down to your hip. That should be a straight seam. And if it's not, then you have to go back and adjust. But it won't hang right and likely not be comfortable unless that seam is hanging straight. And like I said, some of us have really rounded derrieres, which means we need more fabric in the back. So we might have to add to that back in order to make that side seam meet right in the middle with the front. Okay, so that's really key to getting the garment to hang properly. But remember, you may have to add to the front, you may have to add to the back, you may have to add a little to both. I don't know, because your body is unique. And once you get your sloper, you will be very pleased to go forward sewing, because you're going to have a better understanding of the shape of a pattern that you need for your body and what the minor adjustments you might need to make.
All right, so Sally is asking again, where is the fitting video?
Okay. All right, so we have the fitting videos that the
one that you referenced is the series
on, we've got several options for you, Sally.
Yeah.
So option 1 is we started this last March, so somewhere between March and July of last year. If you go to the archives here on Facebook, you'll find that series. However, if you go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, and click on playlist, you'll find it right away. It's very easy to find, and they're all grouped together in one playlist, so you can go through that. But Connie Crawford, who is the originator of this and who is the expert, has created 3 DVDs that we carry. And they're where all this information comes from in the first place. So if you want to get it from the horse's mouth, she's got custom bodice. So this is going to be a woven item. And this is one of her DVDs that will help you with that. And she works with the sloper pattern. And again, you know, those of you who watch all the time, I know there's always some new people. We have Connie's sloper patterns. The sloper patterns are on under patterns. Sloper, anyways, fitting sloper patterns. She also has one on pant fitting. And again, there's a sloper pattern that you could get for that as well. And this one is on fitting and truing. And this really helps get things trued up, like I'm talking about, getting your shoulder seam centered on your shoulder, getting everything together, getting a nice straight side seams, and then transferring it to your patterns so that you are good to go. So all 3 of those DVDs are on sale this week for the next week at the lowest I think we've ever done, which is 25% off. So any one of these that sound interesting to you, you could purchase at 25% off. This is not a price we've ever had before that I recall. And if you were excited enough or had the need to purchase all 3, where'd my bonus item go? You'll get a free Easy Check self-measuring tape. So 25% off on any one of these. All 3 get you the extra bonus of the $7.99 Easy Check measuring tape. So that's our special this week. And again, that lasts for a week. And the code for that is the word fitting. Fitting, fitting. And you will be doing yourself the greatest service of any of your sewing. There's lots of fun things to learn. You know, we taught bomb buttonholes recently, and people had a ball, and they're wonderful to add to your items. But what good does it do to have that kind of a trick in your pocket if the garment's not going to fit or hang right? So once you have that knowledge under your belt, there's no end to what you can do. There's no end. You'll be off to the races, because finally, some of you, it'll be a finally, I know this is going to fit before I sew it up. I know this pattern's going to fit because I've been experimenting and learning how to get a sloper, how to get the right fit. And now, after a few attempts, you get very comfortable with it. And then your hobby, your craft becomes a lot easier and helps you expand.
All right. Jen says, I actually have that measuring tape and love it. It's very hard to find, so I'm glad you're carrying it. Yeah, it was hard for Janet to find.
Yeah, we couldn't find it retail except for one person who had a few left.
Yeah.
And nobody else. There's no distributor in the U.S. anymore. And that's why it's hard to find. And so I had to become my own distributor.
Do you have to go down the sewing dark web?
Yes, I had to go into deep, dark tunnels.
Oh, la 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 la. So I put a link to the videos. Now there is 4 videos in that link. The coupon code is for the 3 fitting videos. So just keep that in mind. It's got the code. Yeah, Mary, we could show the DVDs again.
Sure.
I know a couple of them weren't in focus when you moved
Sorry.
quickly. So this is the custom fitting in truing. Yep. And again, I did put the link in the comment so you can read the description there as well when you go there. This is for the custom bodice. And then the custom pant. Ooh la la. Marlene says, I know how hard it is to find because I searched for years. Yeah, well then, we're extra glad we got those for you guys.
I know some people are ordering like 4 or 5 of them.
I mean, why not?
Well, I'm sure they're, have friends and.
I mean, we're a ways away, but stocking stuffer. Hello.
I know. Well, and if you're like me, I have favorite notions. I don't have one. If I have a favorite notion, I buy 2 or 3 because they get lost.
Yeah, or if you've been in a position like Marlene where it broke and then, she still can't let go of it. And it's like, well, if I find it, I'm buying extra because you never know when something's going to go away again.
Yep, that's true. And boy, have we learned that during this COVID, especially now at the tail end. You still go into the stores and there's certain things that,
Or new things coming up all the time.
Yeah, things that you don't expect. You walk in and say, well, what happened to all the, whatever it might be? I forget what I was trying.
OxyClean.
OxyClean was
OxyClean spray.
well for a long time. You couldn't get around here this just any of the spray
And no
cleaners,
spray
any
cleaners.
spray cleaners, kitchen cleaners and stuff. When I finally found them, man, I want 3 or 4 different ones. Yeah.
Okay, so I need to go back to ask a question from Darla. She says, I am still working on the knit sloper.
Okay.
And I want to lower the neckline about 5/8.
Okay.
Do I need to make the same adjustment to the back or just the front?
Just the front. Leave that back where it's at. And that's what this thing I was just doing is all about. You do the same thing with the knit. You want it to crest around, go around your neck. You don't want it to be 1.5 inches below your neck and just have bare skin hanging out there for no reason. Unless you do. And then if you do, yeah, lower it. There's lots of options in this world and things that people like and don't like. I don't like having a big gap there. But anyway, normally that neckline comes up around your neck, just like as if you had a collar on. But then here, you can go down as low, change the shape, whatever.
We should do like a fun thing every week to see who can find the piece of thread on you.
There's always going to be one.
I know. It's like, who finds it first? What color is it this week?
Are there prizes?
You never know. We'll mail you the thread. Claudia, these videos are just DVD. We don't have the USB on these. We have the USB on all the Islander products, but for now, at least, these are just the DVD. And, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
It won't be anytime soon that we'll be doing USBs.
Yeah, you don't have
I
to
will
worry
tell you
about
that.
buying these and then next week. That's what I did. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we bought a lot of
Yeah,
these.
we're not going to have you buy these on sale and come out next week and say, oh, guess what? Yeah, so right now these are just DVD form. I don't know. All right, if you have any more questions on that, feel free. You have a week on that code, the 25% off. If you have any questions on maybe which DVD or if you want all 3 and you have questions, you can call us or email islandersewing@comcast.net. Don't forget your Baja entries by the end of the day, by midnight. You still have time to start it if you have the fabric.
Yeah,
you can still get it done.
You do. You still have time.
What else? So we are announced the winners next week. And then we have, so we will be here next week.
Yes.
Let me look at the calendar real quick.
Yes, we will be here next week. We will be here next week.
Okay.
However.
So, yes, I just want to make sure I had my dates right. So next week we will be here and announce the winner. And then there's one more Tuesday in June. And then we wanted to let you guys know that we are not going to have any Tuesdays at 2 in the month of July. Cue tears or cheering, however you feel about it. It's just...
Well, I just think everybody should take Tuesdays and sew.
Yes.
And we also want them to post whatever they're making in the month of July, posts. And then we're going to do some drawings on the 1st of August. So even though we won't be there with you live, we'll be there with you in spirit. And we hope you'll be with us in spirit.
Yes.
We have some vacation time that we're taking in July. And we are reorganizing and developing products. Yes. So we're taking July to do some fun stuff and some serious stuff.
Yes, the only reason I said cheering from your end is, it's summer, people have vacations, you might be under the same thing. Like, you don't want to miss what's going on here, but you want to be checked out and on your vacation and enjoying your time. And it can give, like Janet said, give you some time to sew. We have personal stuff, we have business stuff going on. I might seem a little distracted. Obviously, the kids are out of school. We got this screaming from the pool over here. And, Of course, the internet issue, all that stuff. So we already were going to have to take at least 1 or 2 weeks off, and we decided just to take the month, and that'll give you guys time to sew. And we'll be in the office.
Yeah, we're not going to, we'll be in the office
and
all
out.
but 1 week, but we will be checking our email and we will continue to be available. So you can place orders, you can call us or email us with your questions. We're still going to be around with the exception of, Brenda will be here part of them. So, there's a week that Jessica and I will be on vacation, the 10th to the 17th.
Yeah.
You don't
It's all
need
right.
to
You
know
don't
that.
know. You want me to share my Google Calendar with you? No, but yeah. And Janice says already thinking about fall sewing.
Yeah.
So yeah, take the time. Maybe, I know a lot of you, your husbands or family or and stuff know what you do at Tuesdays at 2. So maybe you don't have to tell them that we're not going to be doing it, and take that time and sew. And we'd love to see what you're working on and what you're making, and it doesn't have to be Islander based.
Yeah, and you can always go through the, if you're really missing us, you could go through the archives and watch the videos. One of our newer viewers, Ed, he told me he was very excited when I told him we were organizing everything on YouTube, because he said, well, I never know where to look, but I'm so new. I just scroll through and I just click on one at random, and I always find good stuff.
Tuesdays at 2 roulette right there.
So I thought that was kind of, I thought I was flattered that he always found something good. But yeah, so, but to keep things better organized, I think our YouTube channel is really going to be helpful.
Brenda's doing a great job making those playlists so similar topics are together, or any series that we do, fitting series or a sew along or whatever, they're all right together. So it's easy to find and labeled by topic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and remember we have all of our sew-alongs on both YouTube and Facebook. So you could do the 5 easy tees, the easy V, the Islander shirt. We did the easy cape. What else did we do on there? Well, anyways.
Did you say Baja?
No, I didn't. The Baja. That's right, the Baja. The Baja. So for those of you who are new and you're going, what in the world are they talking about Baja? You can go and look at that pattern, and if you decide you want to make one, it works for any season, depending on the fabric you make it out of, and you'll have the sew-along. So there's lots of sew-alongs for the month of July as well. So take advantage of those.
Patricia had a very nice clarification for me, because I said it doesn't have to be Islander based. And she said, everything I sew is Islander based because of the techniques. And so that's very true. Yeah. You're right, Patricia. If you've been here any amount of time, I'm sure you've picked up a technique that helps your sewing be faster and more professional.
Sounds like Patricia's completely no pins, no basting kind of sewer now, and that is so freeing, isn't it? It's just, when I see some people and they'll go, well, I just really like my pins, so I'm going to stick with my pins, and I think that's okay. But the time and the free feeling of understanding the way the machine's working, so you can counteract or repurpose the way you're doing something so that you know it goes together. Sometimes if you only sew with pins, you don't know when something's not working and it starts to pucker or ease. You don't know what's going on because you didn't get that part of your education on how the machine's working. So with the no pins, that's the first thing we teach you, and then the mysteries are gone. Really.
All right, so we will be back next week. We're excited to announce the winners of the Baja. Of course, we don't know them yet because there's still entries to come in.
No decisions here
But
yet.
by next Tuesday, we will be forced to tell you who the winners are.
We're already agonizing over it.
I know.
It's like, oh no.
We're
some
like,
good ones.
Yeah. Janet tried to call me out when I was saying maybe what some of my favorites so far might be. Oh, what about this one?
I know. We don't have the same favorites.
Which is good.
And that's good. That's good. Yep. And we haven't seen them all yet, so If you're still sewing, we're waiting. We want to see it.
Yes. All right. So, oh, the comments. We will be back next week, and we look forward to seeing you
Here on Tuesdays at 2 for Islander Sewing Systems. Thanks again for coming. We enjoy your company. Bye-bye.